Way back in 2012, when Lewis Hamilton signed a 3-year deal indicating that he would be leaving McLaren to Mercedes, they said he was crazy. They said it would never work. They said that Mercedes was going nowhere. But I mean, 6 titles later, and I think it's safe to say that he made the right business decision. So now when we fast forward over to 2024, another shockwave news hit the stands. Lewis Hamilton decided that he was going to leave his Mercedes by the end of the 2024 season and go to Ferrari for 2025. And honestly, I'm so serious when I say that this guy broke the internet that day. He actually did, because everybody was talking about it. Everybody. We're going to get into that towards the end, but my goodness gracious, you actually just had to be there because it was quite insane. Now that the dust has settled, everyone has digested the news, we are well into the 2024 season, I figured, let's talk about it. Why did Hamilton choose to leave Mercedes to go to Ferrari? Hello everyone, my name is Fatima and welcome back to the Race Edit. Okay, the Mercedes of it all. Oh my goodness. After 2021, which we've all painfully accepted, but I mean, hey, if Lewis can walk with his head held high, then so can I. Who am I to sit back and sulk, right? But after 2021, and with the new 2022 ground effect rules, Mercedes has truly been on a downward trajectory, and it's been an interesting thing to witness. I'm not gonna lie, because a team that was so strong is now suddenly very confused, and they don't really seem to know what's going on with the car or how to fix it, because when they fix one thing, there's another thing that's causing a problem, and it just keeps spiraling. Let's be honest, it just keeps spiraling. But especially in 2022, there was definitely a serious error that Merck was facing. But if we are going to talk about 2022 and the new ground effect regulations, we can't not talk about the W13, Mercedes' zero side pods concept, the porpoising issues, and just every single thing that was really and truly bad with that one car. That car was just evil. That car was just evil, and it was going nowhere. Yes, they did have that one, keyword one, win in Brazil with George Russell, but after that, they chose to stick with the same zero side pods concept for the first half of the 2023 season, and then they quickly learned that, hey, maybe this isn't what we should be doing to our car, because clearly we're not going anywhere with this zero side pods concept. I mean, I can't lie, going into 2023 with that same concept that clearly didn't work in 2022, yes, they had that one win, probably just was not the best idea. And I mean, lesson learned, because 2023 was the first winless year for Mercedes since 2011. And you know how insane that is for a team that won back-to-back championships and has many wins under their belt to go into the 2023 with 0 wins and into 2022 with 1 win. It's a shock. It's really a shock to the system. And I think any driver would start questioning what's happening with their team. Even though they've had huge success with it, if you're noticing that there's a pattern, I too would start questioning what's going on with my team. We went from wins to celebrating a singular win, to celebrating a singular pole position, to celebrating just podiums. You know, listen, it's interesting. But I will give credit where credit is due, because while the W14, the sister of the W13, was winless, it did earn them quite a few podiums. I mean, Lewis Hamilton did finish third in the standings behind the Red Bulls, behind Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez in that terrible, terrible car. So while they were not competitive enough, and I honestly truly believe that had the McLaren had the upgrades at the start of the season, it would have been a different story for both Hamilton and for both Mercedes when it comes to the standings. Additionally, Ferrari was literally right behind them. I think in the constructor standings, they were 3 points ahead of Ferrari. That is how tight it became in the end. And the only reason Ferrari did not come ahead of them was because of errors on their end. But that's how tight it was. McLaren quickly caught up towards the end of the season. Aston Martin, although they were really strong at the beginning of the season, they quickly went down. But to have 2 of your customer teams be extremely competitive while you're struggling and fighting, that says a lot about what's going on with them and what's going on with that car, to be quite honest with you. So with all of this, to me, it feels like LH probably just honestly lost faith in his team. And I think that's fair to say. I mean, you're seeing all of these things happen. You're seeing your customer teams catch up and they are outracing you, outpacing you, and your team still doesn't know exactly what is going on with the car. Yeah, I do think he lost faith in the team, and I don't think it was recognized until after winter break, because he did sign a new contract with Mercedes in the summer, if I'm correct, in the summer of 2023 before the end of the season. But then during winter break is when he said himself he had time to reflect, and in that reflection, I think a lot of things came to light. I mean, as the fans, we were only able to see what we could see, but I know a lot of fans lost faith in Mercedes, especially towards the end of the 2023 season, and going into the 2024 season. But really, he's truly had a wonderful, wonderful career at Mercedes. They've had some pretty serious highs. When the highs were high, they were high, but they've also had some pretty bad lows as of recent. And those bad lows, especially when you're at this stage in his career, can mean everything. And that's when you're kind of stuck to a wall and you have to figure out what you're going to do best with your career. And in this case, it doesn't seem to be that Mercedes was in the cards for the finale of his racing career. And so we jump into Ferrari. Oh, Ferrari, Ferrari, Ferrari. Ferrari's president, John Elkann, was really and truly a man on a mission. Are you kidding me? That guy said, I'm going to get Lewis Hamilton to race for my team at any cost, and nothing is going to stop me. And you know what? I applaud it. He did that. He did that because nobody thought that this was going to happen. I mean, people have tried to poach him many times. But the fact that it actually became a reality and is becoming a reality is insane. And I think I'm still shocked. I think I'm still shocked by it. But it's been said that he has been courting Hamilton for quite some time now. And it just seems to be that the stars aligned at this point, and he was able to get the elusive Lewis Hamilton to race for Ferrari, to race in red for 2025. And whew, that's going to be an exciting season. I cannot lie. I mean, of course, we know that Fred Vasseur, as Hamilton said himself, is probably one of the main reasons as to why he chose to go race for Ferrari. He did admit that he doesn't think the Ferrari signing would have happened without him. They have a great history and relationship together. Hamilton raced with Fred in F3 and GP2, so it's not like they're going to be starting from scratch. They know each other. They have camaraderie, so it's not like he's walking into the Lions Den completely alone, because let's be honest, Ferrari is the Lions Den. The Tifosi, they're kind of scary in a good way. Listen, there's one thing I've learned is that Ferrari fans, they are so ride or die. Like, they don't play about their drivers, they don't play about their team, and honestly, I respect it. I respect it. But aside from being courted by Elkann, and aside from having a relationship with Fred, I do think that Ferrari's just one of those teams that even if they're doing bad, they're still doing well. Even if they're not winning championships, they're still doing pretty well. Like, aside from bad strategy calls and car failures, engine failures, they still always some way, somehow end up fighting and clawing their way up to the top. It might not be first position, but they're still always in the mix. That is one thing I will give Ferrari. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Aside from 2020, since 2015, Ferrari has been finishing second or third in the standings. That says a lot, and it shows consistency, and it shows that, you know what, while there might be teams that are number one, they're slowly but surely clawing their way into hopefully becoming number one again. I mean, in the past, in 2023 and now in 2024, they are the only team to have a race win under their belts aside from Red Bull. They won in Singapore of last year and they won in Australia this year. And with the way things are looking, they might have more chances to win again. So if I'm a driver who has an opportunity to drive for Ferrari, why not take that bet? Why not take that chance, you know? It only makes sense to me. It would be great to see Ferrari beat Red Bull on merit. I do think that with the drivers they have, they can. I do think that's a possibility. I would like to see it because both times that they've beat Red Bull has been due to failures on Red Bull's end. But they take that opportunity, Carlos Sainz takes that opportunity to ensure that, okay, the Red Bulls are down. No other team is going to get this race win, but Ferrari. We are going to win. AKA I'm gonna win. So clearly the car does have what it takes, and they know what they're doing. Shock, right? He also seems to have a great relationship with his future teammate Charles, so It's going to be interesting to see how that relationship changes or doesn't change when they do become official teammates in 2025. It's a multi-year contract that they said he has signed, so I am curious to see what happens when that Ferrari is fighting for a championship. How does that friendship work? Who does the team prioritize, etc. But really and truly, this signing for Hamilton to Ferrari is actually a win-win for both parties. For Ferrari, they get a 7-time world champion on their hands who is able to navigate even the toughest of conditions. They get all the great sponsorship. They probably can get as many great sponsorships as they want, because who doesn't want to be affiliated with Hamilton? Really, it's a great business move. The money that they'll be raking in with Hamilton is insane. And then for Hamilton, he said it's a childhood dream of his. I mean, racing in Ferrari. Who's the one that said it? Was it Vettel?
Everybody's a Ferrari fan. Even if they're not, they are a Ferrari fan.
He's right. Everyone's a Ferrari fan, even if they're not. They are. And potentially that he could start winning races again with that car if he goes to Ferrari. So like I said, it's a win-win, and I'm just really curious to see how it all ends out and how it all pans out for Hamilton and Ferrari. I think it's going to be an interesting 2025 season, and with these new regulation changes, it's going to be an interesting 2026 as well. So moving on from Hamilton to Ferrari, we can't not talk about the response, because the response was absolutely diabolical. It was quite insane. I mean, I was there. I witnessed it. But this part will be broken down into some parts because one, the response is still going on. People are still talking about Hamilton to Ferrari, and it probably will not stop until really and truly he retires, let's be honest. People are just going to keep talking about it. Let's start with the day the news broke. It was February 1st. It was a Thursday. I remember this so vividly. You honestly, when I say you had to be there, you honestly had to be there. I remember waking up, going on Twitter at like 7 a.m. and just seeing like rumors. Mind you, I'm in Canada, so I'm always a couple of hours behind when it comes to news breaking out, but luckily for some reason this time I just happened to wake up at the right time, and I caught the tail end of the rumors turning into strength, turning into fact, and I was like, ew, what's going on? This is interesting. And then Sky Sports broke the news that Lewis Hamilton did in fact sign a contract to with Ferrari at the end of 2024, starting for the 2025 season. They literally had a person on standby at Brackley from Mercedes called their employees to have an emergency meeting. There was a person on standby to see reactions. Sky had an hour-long segment about this. They were interviewing people. Jenson Button, poor guy, was on vacation, but Jenson Button was on vacation, but he took time to speak about it. And, you know, I'm a Jenson Button fan over here. But anyway, that's besides the point. YouTubers, content creators were doing emergency videos to speak on this. Like, it was insane, you guys. It was insane. It feels honestly kind of like a fever dream. I'm not gonna lie, but like, yeah. When I say you had to be there, everywhere I'd go, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere, everyone was talking about Hamilton to Ferrari. Even people who I know who don't know anything about Formula One were messaging me saying, "Is this true?" And I'm like, yeah, it's insane. I think I spoke about Formula One more during that day to people who do not watch Formula One in my family than I ever have since I got into this sport. It was actually insane. I was breaking down the history of it, why he would move, what's going on right now, what's happening at Mercedes. It was just absolutely insane, and it was so fun. Mind you, the funniest part about all of this, when people were doing the emergency videos and Sky was doing their hour-long segments, neither Ferrari, Hamilton, Sainz, or Mercedes put out a statement yet. Like, it was still very quiet on the parties that were actually affected. And that was the funniest part. But when they did put out statements, I'm pretty sure everyone had millions of impressions. Like, they had millions of impressions on that. Like, Ferrari put out a statement, Hamilton put out a statement, Mercedes put out a statement, Carlos Sainz put out a statement, and I'm pretty sure all of them had insane views and impressions on it. It was the talking point. I keep saying it, but you actually just had to be there. And that's when, honestly, moments like that is what makes me love the F1 community, because everyone is just so excited about great and exciting and interesting news, because Hamilton to Ferrari changes the entire driver market for 2025. You know, there's a lot of drivers that are out of contract, so now the game is on. The battle is on. And he just picked it up and said, "I'm safe, y'all. Stay cool over there." Once that all died down, we have to talk about the total wolf of it all, because That man, after the official announcement was made, the following days after, he started talking, and he's still talking. That man has not stopped talking once. Listen, I get it. I get it. He's the one that got broken up with. His driver is leaving him to go for his enemy. An enemy that's doing way better than them right now. So yeah, I would be a bitter ex as well, but dang, he just won't stop talking. It's crazy. With the way Wolf is speaking and how quiet Hamilton and Ferrari and Fred are, you would forget that this is even happening because though they're so focused on 2024 and just maximizing the best of this season as they can, while Mr. Wolf is so focused on everything else, but it feels like, and that's no shade to him. That is no shade to him. It's just been an interesting journey to be on, seeing Toto Wolff speak. He said so much things that start to become contradictory at some point. I'm just like, okay, so are you spiraling? What's going on? Do we need to have a chat? Because we can have a chat. We can talk about it if you need. He did admit himself that he was surprised by Hamilton's decision to leave because prior to the winter break, they were very aligned, meaning the contract that was signed with them. I mean, to be honest, I do think the shock for Toto comes from a place where they signed a contract with Hamilton. Mind you, it was a 1+1 contract. They knew he was always going to leave by the end of 2025. I don't think they realized that he was going to continue racing. Like, yeah, he was going to leave by the end of 2025. Presumably, he was going to retire by the end of 2025. But he said, "Joke's on you, actually. I'm still racing, and I'm going to be racing with Ferrari." Toto did say himself, we knew that it could be a year, it could be two. We knew that it would come to an end at the latest, the end of 2025. So, based on this, Mercedes was always going to end their relationship with Hamilton at the end of 2025. And that's fair. They can go ahead and do that. But Lewis was still keen on racing. I think it was said that he was hoping for a 3-year contract, and Merck wanted to give him a 1+. Merck didn't want to commit to a full 3 years, and Ferrari was more than willing to commit to multiple year contracts. We don't know how long that is, but they were more than willing to commit to that. They have every right to want to commit, to want to focus on other things. I just think the way that they may have gone about it feels a bit interesting. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm just basing all of this based on things that Toto has said himself and the news that's come to light when it comes to what Mercedes were willing and weren't willing to do for Hamilton, which is absolutely insane because he brought them X amount of championships and has brought so much. Listen, it was a two-way street, but Hamilton as a brand, even if you want to argue, and people have argued this and people keep continuing to argue this, but he is a brand that is worth so much that it's almost bigger than the sport of Formula One. Don't fight with me on this because I'm not going through this. This was already a hot topic on Twitter, and if you want to argue, you can argue there. But leave me alone, please. But Toto, rightfully so, is more focused on preparing for the new generation. We've all heard him speak on Kimi Antonelli many times, while Ferrari was willing to take the bet on the 7-time world champ. I think Toto's case, he recognized what he lost out on when he missed that opportunity to sign Max Verstappen. But at the same time, you did miss out to sign Verstappen, but you had a Hamilton who was winning these championships for you. So, I mean, I get it because now we have Verstappen who's winning these championships for Red Bull. But with recognizing that, he's so focused on the new generation that I think it blindsided him to what he has and now what he's lost yet again, because Ferrari was more than willing to take that chance to hopefully bring them back to victory. But I think when it comes to the Toto Wolff of it all, I think it's just the continuous yapping. Listen, I'm a certified yapper. I love to yap. That's why I'm doing this video, because I love a yap. But that man will not stop with the shameless courtship of Max Verstappen, who's still very much at Red Bull. And my issue is, it's like, I get Toto wants a duo that's going to be extremely strong, but why would Max leave Red Bull right now when, listen, we know let me chill, because there's a lot of drama going on in the Red Bull camp. There's a lot of drama going on in the Red Bull camp. But first and foremost, Max is a racer and his team is at the top. They are dominating. Why would he leave a team where he can continue to win to go to Mercedes, who still doesn't really know what's going on with their car and have not had a race win since 2022? He could take a leap of faith. He could. Do I see it happening for 2025? No. Could I see it happening for potentially another in the next few years? Yes, but if I'm correct, wasn't there, I don't know who said this, if it was a rumor or if it was actual fact, but he's staying at Red Bull until the end of his contract in 2028. So we'll see what happens with the whole Red Bull Max Verstappen saga. I'll probably will do a video on the Red Bull saga. But anyway, Toto Wolff keeps shamelessly courting Max Verstappen. He keeps throwing some sly joking digs at Hamilton. And he keeps putting unnecessary pressure on Kimi Antonelli. I think he recognized that maybe he was doing that though also because he realized that maybe he should just stop speaking on Antonelli so much and just let him do his thing in F2 and then we can go from there. And now let's have a chat about the 2024 season because, oh buddy, I have a lot to say. First of all, at the time of me filming this video, this is before the Japanese Grand Prix. This is before Suzuka, so I don't know when this video is going to be uploaded, but a lot can happen from now to whenever I post this video. But currently, everything I'm talking about when it comes to the 2024 season is right before Suzuka. So with that being said, I'm not going to speak too much about it because one, the season just started and there's a lot that can happen in a singular season. And I think that this season's going to be an interesting one. So there's one thing I can speak on. I think it's safe to say that Hamilton's having a terrible start to his season. A terrible start. I mean, it kind of hurts to watch. It does, but I will stand by him and I will watch it. He even said himself that this is worse than 2009. And do you know how bad it has to be for him to say that this season start is worse than his 2009 season with McLaren? That's insane. Those two shouldn't even be in the same conversation. Yet here we are in 2024 in this conversation, and that hurts a lot, actually. I do have to say there's many reasons as to why the season is starting off so bad for him. One, the car is not fast enough. Even with George Russell understanding the concept of the car and is out qualifying his teammate, it's just not fast enough. Their last qualifying was P7 and P11. That is not where that car should be. You should not be qualifying P7 and P11. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Hamilton's qualifying runs need and should be worked on. I think that's something he understands and hopefully he'll be able to figure out. I think if the car was better, things would flip because we see how good he is and we know how good he is when that car is working. When the car is bad, I mean, there's only so much you can do and it's just, you're like, what am I doing? I'm wasting my time. I'm coming here every weekend and I'm not even like, I'm barely getting the points. I'm barely getting points. It's kind of absolutely crazy, let's be honest. But yeah, his qualifying runs need to be worked on because starting P11 does set you up terribly for a Sunday and it's just, from there, you're just fighting. You're just fighting to even get P5 by the end of the race. Like, podium is not in sight unless a miracle happens and everyone just DNFs by chance. And 3, my biggest villain for this season is the setup changes. They just won't stop doing setup changes on that car. Oh my goodness. And when I say that car, I mean Hamilton's car specifically. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. If the car is looking good in FP1, if it's looking good in FP2, if it's looking great in FP3, leave it alone. Leave it alone. What are we doing? You do the setup in qualifying and there you go. You're screwed for Sunday's race. And then you're like, oh no, we don't know what's going on with our car. We did a setup change and now it's not working out. So we have to go back to the drawing board. Additionally, if you're going to continue to do setup changes to figure out what's going on with the car, I do think you should do it on both drivers' cars, especially the driver that's going to be leading the team next year because he's the one who should be understanding the concept of the car the most out of the driver that's leaving. He's the one who should be giving you the feedback, so when it comes to the car actually working, he'll be able to utilize it to the best of his ability. But that's just me. That's just me. That's just me. I don't know. Who am I, right? But man, those setup changes are just hurting, and Toto Wolff said himself that they are probably going to continue on. So thank you, Toto Wolff. Thank you very much. What a crazy end of his tenure at Mercedes for Hamilton. I'm really hoping that it picks up by the end of the 2024 season because I was really hoping for a great farewell tour kind of season with him and Merck before he branches off to this new chapter of his racing career. But while we're on the topic of the 2024 season, I can't not talk about Carlos Sainz because he's the one who's losing his seat to Hamilton and he's the one who's currently jobless, as he says. And I don't know what it is, if it's recency bias, which it is. Listen, if you've watched my videos, if you've watched my TikToks, I'm a Carlos Sainz fan. I think his racecraft is very interesting. I think he's a great driver. And guys, he's going to have a seat in 2025. Like, there's not a doubt in my mind. And I hope he gets a good top tier team seat because I don't think he does deserve to go backwards. I don't. But let's chill, everyone. Let's just take it down a notch, maybe. But most importantly, Ferrari's looking extremely strong this season. I'm really curious to see how they're able to fight with Red Bull throughout the season. Hopefully they can bring a fight to Red Bull. I said this in one of my videos. I said, listen, I think Red Bull's going to win the majority of the races this year, but they're not going to win all of them. I think it's going to be, they're going to lose more than they did last year, which was one. And hey, we're already there. They've already lost a race. Max Verstappen did not win Australia, so I'm almost right. But I do think it's going to be an interesting season, and hopefully Ferrari can keep it strong. They are looking very strong this season, and with them looking strong and having a strong car, you have a strong driver like Carlos Sainz, you have a strong driver like Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz is very technical in the way he thinks. He knows, he sees things before, it feels like he sees things before it happens, and he just takes advantage of that, which is what I really appreciate. But there's been a lot of discourse with his most recent win. There's been a lot of conversation about maybe Ferrari will regret letting go of Carlos Sainz for Lewis Hamilton. And I'm going to stop you guys right there. We're going to stop. Because Ferrari will not regret letting go of Sainz for Hamilton for a multitude of reasons. Even if recency bias is at an all-time high, the buying power of Hamilton times Ferrari is just too strong for them to let it go. They are not going to miss out on that opportunity. It would just be absolutely ridiculous. It would be crazy. 2, Hamilton has proven time and time again that even if the car is the worst thing ever, if it's a tractor, which it's been, he will still find a way to bring it to where it needs to go. I mean, like I said at the beginning of this video, let's talk about how he finished 3rd behind Max Verstappen and Checo in that crap car. I don't know how he did it. Really and truly, I don't know how he did it. But he finished the best of the rest, and everyone else was behind him. So I think it's safe to say if you put him in a car that's worth fighting for, he'll be a force to be reckoned with. Let's be honest. He'll be a force to be reckoned with. And I really do want to see Hamilton versus Verstappen 2.0. Let's just make it happen where Hamilton wins. Thank you very much. 3, Charles Leclerc. Y'all, Ferrari's never letting that man go. Between Sainz and Charles is like the Ferrari baby. They aren't letting him go. While Sainz is a great driver who has brought Ferrari 2 wins in the past, in 2 wins in 2 years now, they just aren't going to let Charles go. And there's a multitude of reasons why. That's not the point of this video, but if you know, you know. And additionally, Sainz has ties to Audi, which is coming in 2026. He was probably always going to leave Ferrari after 2025 to go to a place where he's able to be the #1 driver, to be the team leader, essentially. So I do think he was always going to leave Ferrari after 2025, which is probably why his contract negotiations took so long and Hamilton was able to swoop right in with John Elkann and take that 3-year deal. I think it's a 3-year deal. I just made that up. I don't know. And take that multi-year deal. So I do think that while Sainz is losing his job at Ferrari, he's going to be fine, and he's most likely going to be with Audi in 2026. He was never going to stay at Ferrari for that long. I don't think he was going to, personally. So yeah, with that being said, when we take off our recency bias blinders, Hamilton to Ferrari at this stage of his career just makes the most sense. And if there's anything that I've learned from this, is to bet on yourself, like really and truly. From Hamilton, from Sainz, from Ferrari, to just putting yourself first and not letting you get complacent. No one can predict the future. No one knows how this time at Ferrari for Hamilton is going to pan out. It could turn out really, really well for him, or it could turn out really, really bad for him. But it doesn't hurt to try it out. It doesn't hurt to take that leap of faith, to bet on yourself and see what you can do for yourself. I mean, with the way things are going at Mercedes right now, I think it's safe to say that he made the right decision. This is not to say that Mercedes is not going to come back and start fighting for championships and start fighting for race wins again. But right now, at this stage where Mercedes is at, they just need to start. It feels like they need to start all over again. And it feels like Hamilton needs to start all over again. So really and truly, while they are losing their star driver and the best driver of Formula One to ever touch Mercedes' face, don't be mad at me. I know Schumacher was there, but I said what I said. And this is coming from a Schumi fan. I'm a Schumacher fan, so don't jump me, y'all. But Hamilton has made the right decision. Ferrari's looking competitive, and you would be out of your mind. You would be out of your mind to tell me that a racing driver would turn down the opportunity to start racing for a team that is fighting for wins and a team that can potentially be fighting for title wins, to stick with a team that's not really going anywhere for them right now. So I don't know about y'all, But me personally, I'd be a fool to bet against Lewis Hamilton. I'd be a fool to bet against this collaboration of Hamilton and Ferrari. And let's just see how things work. Let's just see how things fare. I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. And that's really and truly all I have to say about this video. All I have to say about Hamilton to Ferrari. I'll probably make some more TikToks about it because I like to yap a lot. But thank you so much for taking the time to sit here and watch this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it because I enjoyed making it. And if you did enjoy it, please feel free to like and subscribe. It's really and truly up to you, whatever your heart desires, but it would be great if you did. Thank you and have a great day.